Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
Just when I thought I was out, they pull me back in. Welcome, everyone, to the Truth Table. It's Season 2, Episode 9. And I have a guest that was on multiple times in Season 1. I'm so happy that he was able to fit me into his very busy schedule between conferences, meetings, and rallies. And uh, he- I feel very fortunate to be able to have him here. I'm not going to ask the same questions as I asked before because I want to expand what the general public know about Maxime and about the platform of the People's Party. I've read the platforms of all the parties and I resonate with this one. Now, I also wanted to show something that I find pretty shocking, and I really believe the election was stolen. I mean, I can confirm anything, but this is all verified people. Now, even this graph, if you look at it, says 38% for PPC and 33% for the CPC. But even the graph shows the CPC is higher, even though the number is lower. So, and look at 10%, how high that one is. So I think it's skewed in a way, but I think when all the parties collectively voted to exclude Maxime, they showed a uniparty. They showed a harmonizing of who they are and that they no longer represent us. I've read their parties and I've seen what they've done. So they they pretty much lied. They lie. Like debts pay for themselves. They do not do pay for themselves. But anyway, we're gonna have a great conversation, and I appreciate. We're gonna have also in the second half. We're gonna have other candidates going to join, and tell us their stories right after this. I am I am very excited to bring on my next guest, the leader of the People's Party of Canada, Maxime Bernier. Thank you so much for coming. It's an honor to have you back.
I'm very pleased to be with you, Paul. Thank you very much for giving me that opportunity to speak with you this afternoon.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Um, Tell us about the new policy against imperial federalism.
Oh my God, it's based on a speech that I delivered a couple of years ago in Alberta, in Calgary, and it's in line with our philosophy as a political party to respect the Constitution. And right now we have the Conservatives and the Liberals in Ottawa uh, who are not, respecting the Constitution. They are for programs that are interfering in provincial exclusive jurisdictions like daycare, dental care, pharma care. That's not the role of the government. It's must be the provincial governments who must be in charge of that. And what we are telling Canadians, it's right now we don't have a true federation like we were supposed to have based on what the father of our constitutions decided in a couple of years ago in 1867. And now we have an imperial government in Ottawa, a government that is dictating to provinces what they can do or what they cannot do. And that is bringing, disunity in our country. And that's why you have in Alberta right now a separatist sentiment. And you may have a referendum on the separation of Alberta in 2026, and you may have another referendum on the separation of Quebec. Because in Quebec at the provincial level, we will have a provincial election in October 2026 in less than 1 year. And the PQ, the Independentist Party, is ahead in the poll right now. They may win the next election. And the young, charismatic leader of the PQ said that if you vote for the PQ, you vote also for a referendum during that mandate. So what I'm telling you is because the federal government is interfering in provincial jurisdictions, because is not respecting the autonomy of provincial governments like Alberta, Quebec, and other provinces, you have that separatist sentiment in Quebec, in Alberta. Add to that also mass immigration that is changing the social tissue of our country. And all these migrants are not uh, it's very difficult for us to integrate them in our society when you promote multiculturalism and you are telling them, keep your culture, keep your values, and you're welcome in Canada. If you don't speak English, it's okay. If you don't speak French, it's okay. That must not be the case, and actually that was not the case a couple of years ago. So the federal government destroy our immigration system, and the liberal and the conservative are not ready to put a stop to that mass migration. So all that together, you have a federal government that is destroying our country with mass immigration, with big deficit, big debts. People are poor. It's very difficult for young Canadians to be able to buy a house or at least, have an apartment in big urban centers like Montreal, Toronto, or Vancouver. So that's why we said we need to end that imperial federalism and go back to the conception of our country like it was supposed to be when the father of our constitutions decided to create that country.
Yeah. Now, August 23rd, you were in Vancouver at a conference, the Capitalism and Morality Conference, and you talk about monetary reset. Did you want to touch on that right now?
Yes, actually, that was a speech about what is happening globally, and right now, it's not only Canada that is having a huge debt and deficit. It's also other Western countries like France, Germany, UK, and the US. And that's happening in all these countries because of the fiat monetary system that we have right now. So these governments can print money and can have huge deficit. And so, but it's not by borrowing that you will create wealth and economic stimulus in different countries. You need to have lower taxes, you need to have more investment, and borrowing is not the solution. But right now, in Canada, the our debt on our GDP, it's about 110%. In France, the debt to the GDP, it's the same, 110%. In the US, the debt to the GDP is about 120%. So it is unsustainable. And you have these governments that are not ready to do the right thing to stop all that spending and balancing their budgets. They don't want to do that. That's a proposal here in Canada from the People's Party to balance our budget in Ottawa in 1 year. Because they're not balancing their budget, because they're having deficit, adding to their debts, and you have money printing. And when you have money printing, you have inflation. And that's why you have that inflation in the US, in Canada. And inflation is a tax. Maybe, the federal government won't tax you more. The federal government is telling you, keep your own money in your own pockets. We won't increase your taxes. But at the end of the day, you cannot buy the same amount of goods and services because of the inflation. So it's a tax. So what I was saying in that speech, I was saying, we need to go back of what we had in the 19th century. We had a kind of a gold standard. So money was backed on gold, and that was very good because governments were not able to create deficit and deficit and deficit. So that was important. And we had deflation in the 19th century. We had economic growth. And what is happening right now, you look like the BRICS countries and in China, Russia, India, uh, and all these countries, they're together and they try to build a new system that, won't use the US dollar. So what's happening right now, you have a de-dollarization. People are selling your US dollar, and you have also the national banks that are buying gold. And that's why gold is going up and up. And what I said, we'll have a monetary reset, and that system may happen in 2 years, 3 years, or 5 years. And when that will happen, after that, I believe that we will have a system and a currency that will be, backed by gold, and
Yeah.
like it was in the 19th century. But before going that, we'll have more inflation, and that will be very difficult because we have irresponsible politicians who decided, spending money that we don't have and creating this deficit. And you have these central banks who are printing money to buy bonds and financing these governments. But by doing that, they're creating inflation. So that cannot, after more than 50 years with the same fiat monetary system, it can go on and on and on. It will have to stop, and that will stop with a kind of a crisis, and they will be in a position to implement a new system. But before
Mhm.
that, I think it will be very difficult for not only Canadians but Americans and Europeans. That's why actually also, Paul, that the populist party are growing in Europe, because they're telling the truth, and people know that, the statu quo and these establishment parties, like here in Canada, don't have the solution for a freer and a more
No.
prosperous country.
Yeah, they don't. And in 1974, Pierre Elliott Trudeau changed the Bank of Canada's um, role to issue interest-free currency to the local, provincial, and federal governments. So he's ended that, and now this perpetual debt system that they've created, the Liberals. It's to me a form of slavery. Now, would you reinstate the Bank of Canada, as dangerous as that is? Because people that have tried to do it, Gaddafi, Putin did it. They become the enemy of the world. Venezuela, he did that. He ended usury, and usury is really against Christian values. It's a crime in a Christian country. So tell me what you think about that. Reinstating the Bank of Canada's role and function.
Actually, my end goal is to do the opposite, Paul, is to get rid of the Bank of Canada. Before the Bank of Canada, we created the Bank of Canada in 1931 or 33, I don't remember.
Right.
But
Yeah.
before that, we had free money, private money based on a kind of a standard and goal. So, and that was going well. So the goal is not to give more power or more responsibility to the Bank of Canada. And I don't want them, because their role is to create inflation, and inflation is
Yes.
bad. But for the Bank of
Yes.
Canada, inflation is good. So,
I
so
agree.
I don't want to go back there. I want to, I want our country to be free from the Bank of Canada and to go back of what we had before 1993.
See, and this is what I like about you and your party. You really talk to things that really matter, that no one else is talking about. Now I have a question from John Wick, and I don't even know what SGW means. He says, "Can Maxime share his view and opinion SGW in Canada?" I don't know if do you know what that means? SGW is.
SGW. Um, no, SGW.
Can you just tell me what
Yeah. Can you ask him
John?
to?
Tell me what that means.
Yeah, yeah.
SGW, because I don't know the acronym. But I appreciate the question. Thank you for the question. I'm just going to type it out SGW and see what comes up. Synthetic. No, that can't be it. Oh, I'm not sure. Anyway, just type out what you mean, and I'm sure he'll answer. Replying, synthetic grief warfare.
I, you know, I don't know what are you what you're thinking about, but what I can tell you is what happened during COVID-19 and that hysteria and that so-called pandemic. We had, psychology operation here in Canada and
Oh
also in
yeah,
other countries to
yeah,
they use fear, they use their big propaganda budget to change the public opinion and to manipulate the public opinion. We are, as a political party, against that for sure. We need to listen to the population and not to try to control the population.
yeah. Tell me what you think about what we should do about this longest ballot thing.
Oh,
I
it's
mean,
it's easy to solve. Uh, the people who are doing that, that's the Marxists, the communists, and because they don't believe in democracy. Actually, they want to change the system for worse. But what we can do, we need to let people vote for the person that they want. But actually, the fact that you have 100 candidates in one independent, in bracket independent candidates, it's
yeah,
because there's a possibility for a financial agent, because if you are a candidate in a federal election, you need two things. First, you need to have more than 100 signatures coming from the people in your riding that will sign for you to be a candidate. Second,
right.
you need to have a financial agent, and your financial agent is responsible of all the money that you are raising during the electoral campaign and the money that you are spending. So the fact that we have more than 100 independent candidates in some time, it's because it's easy for them. They have, one financial agent for 100 independent candidates. They have the same financial agent. So you just need to change and say, you must have a financial agent for one candidate or two or three maximum. So like that, it will be very difficult to do that. Now it's easy. They find one person that will act as a financial agent for all these independent candidates, and that will be it. So let's change that little. Uh, it's easy to change. You change the regulation and you say, financial agents must be able to work for only maybe maximum 5 candidates. And that will be very difficult for them to do that again.
Hmm. Well, it seems like the liberal government is canceling their clone meat thing. But I mean, I want I crave clone meat and GMO corn. But if they don't label it, I may never be able to satisfy that craving. So I'll never be able to find it. So this is an agenda that scares me. This is our food supply.
No, and you're right, Paul. It must scare everybody. We must know what we are buying, and the label is very important. So what the government did, they just said, okay, they wanted to impose that to us. They wanted to impose the fact that we can have fake meat, and we won't be able to know it because the label won't tell us. So now with the pressure coming from Canadians, they said, okay, we will put that, aside and we'll do more consultation. But, we won a battle, but we didn't win the war. So they will come back
Mhm.
maybe in 2026 with another proposal. So we need to be out there and to speak for what we believe. And if they want to impose that on Canadians, Canadians must be able to have a choice. And to be able to have a choice, we need to know what is in the package, if it's real meat
Mhm.
or not. So if they do
Yeah.
that, I'll be okay with that. And I think
Yes.
the pressure is coming from these corporations who are, doing that fake meat, because they know if Canadians are able to buy what they want, real meat, their market won't be so big. So that's why they're putting pressure on the federal government to not have, the definition on the package, telling Canadians the truth about fake meat or real meat.
I'm worried, because the government is using the media and manipulating even the polls. They're, telling people what to think. They're conditioning, and I I I think that's they've made war with you as far as I'm concerned by just not allowing you in the debate. I saw you in the first debate, and you're the only one that responded to the native girls question. You're the only one that made sense.
Yeah. Yeah, and no, because the big difference, and I want people to know that the big difference between the People's Party of Canada and all these establishment political parties like the Liberals, the Conservatives, the Bloc Québécois, the NDP, the Green. The big difference is we are not doing politics looking at survey and polling. We have a strong ideas, a strong vision for this country, and we believe that we have the best policies, the best
Mhm.
proposal for a freer and a better and a more prosperous country. So our platform is always the same at every election. For all
Yeah,
these other political parties, their platform is different at every election. They're doing polling. Why are we not doing polling? It's because we believe that the population has been manipulated and is manipulated by the mainstream media and
yeah,
the establishment politicians. So our goal is not to follow the public opinion. Our goal is to lead the public opinion
yes,
and telling
yes,
them the truth based on facts and science. And we believe that the more we speak about our ideas, the more popular they will become. But for the conservative and the liberals, they're looking at polls and they're telling Canadians what they want to hear today. And, that's the way they're doing politics without any convictions, without any principles. And so that's a big difference. We are doing politics based on ideas and principled, and we are the only principled alternative in Canada. So that's why I'm very working very hard with our candidates all across the country to promote our
mhm.
ideas in between elections to be ready for the next election.
Yes, because people need to be informed. They don't realize the situation that they're in. If they can cheat, I mean, what are Canadians supposed to do that want to preserve their culture?
Absolutely.
The
Absolutely.
immigration is like, what would you call that? Ending our culture
Oh,
because
yeah.
other cultures are coming in, and they're not like us. I'm not racist, but I know I've read different religions and I understand where they're coming from and their purpose and their goals, and they're not compatible. Like they,
Yeah.
if I was them, I wouldn't want to go to a Christian country
Yeah.
because it's not compatible ideology. But they were all going to vote liberal because they're giving them lots of money right now. They're more than someone with a job, full-time job. They're getting that much money doing nothing. So
Yeah.
they're being bought.
Yeah, when you are, having people coming from the third world, your country will become a third world country. All culture are not equal. That's a fact. That's a reality. But Trudeau and Poliev are okay with that. And for us, it's so important to preserve our identity as a country. For
Yes.
the liberals, they said that Canada has no identity, and we are, the first post-national country. But that's not true. There's a nation, there's a history and culture in Canada, and we must have migrants that are coming here and respect and want to be part of that culture and identity. But that's not the case right now. So that's why we need to have that moratorium on immigration. And we need also to start the deportation of all
Ah,
these illegals in Canada.
see, that was music in my ear right there because someone, a good friend of mine, also ran in provincially with the new blue mass deportations. Yes, I do think, in Japan, they've got the right idea. If they break the law, they're deported, you know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of violence I see in Europe, in Italy, and it's the same system. It's the same thing that could come, may very well happen here. But do you have any suggestions for Canadians on how they can elect you? How they can get their voice heard with all these people coming in to vote for liberals?
Yeah, so what we want, for us as a party is to be able to promote our ideas in the mainstream media. And that's very difficult because they know that our ideas and our political party will grow faster if we have more visibility, if more
Yeah.
Canadians know that we exist and know our
Mhm.
platform. So that's our challenge. But that being said, I will ask Canadians to go on our website, peoplespartyofcanada.ca, go and click on platform, read our platform on every subject. It's only 2 pages. It will take you 4 minutes to read a policy. If you're interested in immigration, read our policy on immigration. And if you agree with that, I want you to promote that to your friends, to your family, if you and co-workers. If we have more people promoting the good ideas, we will win. But I strongly believe that our ideas will win. It's only a question of time because we are promoting truth. We are promoting, the real Western civilization values, and that will the truth will always prevail, and our time will come. So, but I need Canadians to be out there and to be informed because I believe that Canadians are adults. They are not. They are able to take their own decision if they have all the
Yeah.
information, and we are there
Yes.
to explain our vision. And if you like our vision, please donate to our party. That will help us to grow our movement all across the country and speak about our ideas. I like to say, what is the goal if we have the best ideas and we keep them for ourselves? That won't help our ideas to grow. That won't help to change the society. So what we need in Canada, it's a common sense, a free market, a populist revolution, and that will happen. It's happening in UK, it's happening in France, it's happening in the US. That will come to Canada, and the People's Party will be there when Canadians are ready.
Yeah, like I said, I think you won. I think the election was stolen from you. All the polls I saw showed you winning, and everyone I know was voting for you. So I honestly believe it's like Trump in 2020. They just, mail in ballots and, seen, they could have even used AI to find out, your numbers in different districts. I mean, they have the technology to cheat. So that's troublesome for me when you have such a clear, honest message that really resonates with me.
Yeah. Yeah, the challenge that we have here in Canada is with our electoral system is the fact that we need a couple of changes for that our electoral system to be more transparent and in line with our democracy like it was before. So we need, for me, only one day to vote, the day of the elections. No
Yes.
vote before the elections. You vote
Yeah.
one day, and that day is a national holiday, and so no, everybody will be able to go and to vote the day of the election. And when you want to vote, you go and you vote, and you need to show your ID. You need to show your ID with a photo of you, and we need to see your face. And so
Mhm.
first that, and you need to vote in person. So no more mail-in ballots, because the fraud can be there, and I believe that the fraud was there in the mail-in ballots. So no more mail-in ballots. We must understand that the system of mail-in ballots was put in place when we had Canadian forces based in Europe, and you have soldiers in Europe that were there. So for them to be able to vote, we implement the mail-in ballots. But
Yeah.
now it's for everybody. And so
Yes.
that's why everybody must vote in person. And if you're a Canadian, and I don't know, you're traveling and you're in Japan the day of the election, maybe we can arrange that you can go at the embassy over there and vote in person at an embassy. So no more mail-in ballots. And if you do that, our electoral system will will be, better than what it is right now, and
Mhm.
everybody will be able to trust the result coming from that electoral system.
Yes, the ballots need, the ballot list needs to be cleaned of all the dead people. Shouldn't vote. A
Right.
lot of dead people voted for Biden in the states, so I know what they do, and it really worries me that they've got this 2030 date, end date that they've been shoving in everyone's face. You own nothing and you'll be happy. And do you think we'll be happy in 2030?
We will be happy in 2030 if in Canada we implement the platform of the People's Party of Canada. If we,
Yes.
and it's in 5 years. And if we
Yeah.
don't do that, that will be tough. And but if it has to be tougher before being better, that's we'll pass through that. But yeah, we need to implement a platform that is in line with the values of Canadians. Individual freedom, personal responsibility, fairness, and respect, putting
Yeah.
Canadians first and our country first. That's the slogan of our party, Canada first. No more foreign aid, no more war in Ukraine, no more, financing the UN and that globalist organization,
Yeah.
dysfunctional globalist organization. Bring
Yes.
the money back home to
Yeah.
Canadians. So by
Yeah.
doing that, you are putting our country, Canada, first. But
Mhm.
Not Trudeau, sorry, Carney, Poliev, they're not. They're spending money that we don't have. They're giving money to the UN, to Ukraine, and they're promoting foreign wars. We are
Yeah.
not.
Yeah. Well, as a Christian, thou shalt not murder. I mean, I don't think Canadians would okay funding a war. It doesn't matter. They want us to pick a side all the time. Ukraine or Russia. If you
Yeah, yeah,
or Gaza or Israel. You know what? I'm not going to pick a side. I pick both sides. I pick mankind. They're the victims here, and
yeah,
I don't want our money to go there to kill, because that's all it's going to do is kill.
yeah,
So I don't think that's a Christian value, and they're not asking our permission. They're just doing it. They're spreading DEI, this
yeah,
woke nonsense in other countries. These are all also programs that they're just implementing this terrible policy into other countries so they can force it on their people. It's like a virus spreading. But
yeah.
also this term abortion. You have been talking about that, uh,
Oh,
and you
oh,
would
yeah.
end this, right?
Yeah, yeah, but speaking about putting Canada first, we
Yes.
are not pro-Russian, we are not pro-Ukraine, we are not pro-Israel, we are not pro-Palestine, we are pro-Canada, and we are putting our
Yeah.
country first. That's the People's Party, and also we believe in individual. We believe in a country where everybody will be able to do what they want and to achieve their goals. But that being said, you just asked a question about late term abortion. Yeah, it's happening in our country. For me, it's killing on board babies and we are the only party against that is ready to implement and put a legislation restriction on abortion, like in Sweden, like in France, like in US, like in UK. Right now in Canada, you have late-term abortion. They're killing onboard babies, and that must stop. But the Polyev, the conservative, the liberals are okay with the statu quo, and we are not, because for us, life is important.
Yeah, and this is why, I want you to have as much exposure as possible. I'm grateful to all the other podcasters that have had you on their show. You've been on many very popular ones, so this is good. Tucker, is behind you all the way, and so am I. I agree with Tucker on a lot of things, and he's common sense. That's what you are. You represent critical thinking, common sense, common courtesy, respect for your fellow man. Like, why are these things so bad to all the other parties?
You know, for me, I'm working hard to promote our ideas, and what the
Yeah,
liberals and the conservative are doing and why they're doing that. Uh, I don't know, but for the liberal, I can tell you, they said that Canada is the first post-national country, and they want to implement that. For them,
yeah,
they prefer to work with foreigners that are coming to our country, and by doing that, you
yeah,
know putting legislations that would be in favor of foreigners and mass immigration. For me, it is immoral. If you are a leader of a country, your first priority must be to work for your people, not for migrants and foreigners. But the
yeah,
liberals are doing that, and they are destroying our country. And the opposition, the conservative, are looking at it without, telling Canadians what we must do. They don't speak about the real issues. So if they don't do that, and on the most important issues for the future of our country, like ending this deficit, to end the inflation, ending mass immigration, withdraw from the Paris Accord, all that, Polyev is okay, in line with liberal policies. And
yeah.
that's why I said, that's a LibCon party, that's a uni party.
It is.
And more Canadians now understand that. And that's why I believe that the next election will be a good one for us. We'll have more time. Maybe the election in Canada will be
Yeah,
only in 2 years or
yeah,
3 years, but we are working hard right now to promote the ideas, to build the party, to find candidates, to be ready when that will happen. And I believe that more Canadians are waking up to the fact that
yeah.
this country is going down the drain with these globalist policies imposed by the establishment political parties.
Well, I admire your persistence. I mean, you haven't given up even when the odds have been against you, and all the other parties agree to exclude you. And you can tell that they do not want you to be heard. And I will have you on 20 times if I have to, because I think your message is so important.
Yeah,
It's so important.
you're right, Paul, about that. The conservative, they don't want to debate us on ideas because
No,
they know that they won't be able to win the argument. So what they're
no,
doing is lying and try to discredit us and lying about our policies. They don't want to have that debate with us because they know that what we are saying is very popular, and we have the right arguments. The best way, and for the liberals, they try to cancel us, and they're doing that with their legislation, censorship. And actually, the best example of that is the national debates during electoral campaign. At every election, I was supposed to be there. I was
yes,
there debating in 2019 at the first election for us. But after that, in 2021 and 2025, at the last election, they are changing the rules every time to be sure that the People's Party won't be able to participate. They don't want to debate with us. They're weak, and they're afraid of our ideas. They're afraid of the truth. But we will
Yeah.
fight until we win that battle of ideas.
Well, I do appreciate your time. I know we're almost out of time, but I want to show a little clip, 14-second, and I want you to tell me who they is, because Carney says they, the owners.
Having met with the owners of Canada over the course of the campaign last several months, it's not for sale, won't be for sale ever.
So who is they?
For
Who is
me,
about?
for
Oh,
me, they is Canadians. We own this country. We
yeah.
Canadians. I don't know for him if it's Canadians or the big the UN and the globalists and big corporations. But for me, this country is this country, Canada, is owned by Canadians, and that's our country. But right now, it can be, First
Right.
Nations or I don't know. But we have property rights in Canada, and I have a house. I own that house. I own the land, and Canadians and people living in this country own this country, not the UN, not the globalist, Canadians.
I think the owners would be the ones that we're in debt to. If
Yeah,
we owe money, whoever we owe money to, International Monetary Fund, perhaps.
yeah, but the majority of our debt, we own that. It's Canadians who own the majority of the Canadian debts right now. But the more deficit they're doing, the more the federal government has to, go to the international market to sell our bonds. And so, but right now, the bonds, the obligations, the bonds out there that the federal government is emitting, the majority of them it's owned by Canadians or pension fund.
Mhm. Well, one last question. There's a lot of land claim happening, Vancouver, even in my local area, uh, Brantford, and um, so. What do you think is going to happen with this? Is this the you'll own nothing and be happy? Is through land claims? You think that's their agenda?
I think that is the agenda of the UN, but that's not the agenda of the People's Party, and that
No,
must not be the agenda of the federal government. So a
no.
way to stop that, it's just to reinforce the facts that we have property rights in this country and withdraw from these treaties with the UN. We the UNWRAP, that's the treaty that Canada signed with the UN. You just have to, withdraw from that, and we have legislation. We have our own legal system in Canada. So you have to do that, and nothing will happen. But right
Mhm.
now, they're promoting that, and that's a bad precedent that is happening in BC right now.
Well, I am going to leave in the comments in the description the People's Party platform, so people you can find out who's running in your area. If no one's running, by all means, if you know someone who's has the courage to speak in front of crowds and can resonate with the platform, you know, get involved. I think that's the only thing we can do is spread the word, get involved. I'm doing a little part. Maxine, I admire your courage because it would take courage because you're going up against, a very bad institution right now. And, so that takes a lot of courage. And I appreciate you very much. And I thank you so much for coming on. Any last words before you go?
Yeah, thank you, Paul. And it's all the people, Canadians who are supporting us, our volunteers, our donors, and they have
Mhm.
the courage of their conviction. They are fighting for what they believe. They are fighting for a better country. I'm not alone, and I'm very pleased with that. So let's stay in touch. And if they want to know more, people can go on our website, peoplespartyofcanada.ca, and they can follow me on Twitter and the social media. So thank you, Paul, again, and have a nice day.
Yes, thank you very much. Always always a pleasure to have Maxime on. He answers every question. The platform is very easy to read, easy to understand, and I also have other other candidates here that could be joining soon. We do have Peter Terrace. Welcome back.
Yeah, nice
Also
to
a
see you again,
wrestler.
Paul. Thank you for having me back.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. And Lisa Robinson could be joining us soon. And Brian was here, but I expect him to return. I always love having Max on. You know,
Oh, he's fantastic.
he's a great leader. You know, and it does take a lot of courage because he's up against all five of those other parties. I mean,
Paul,
they made war with him.
can you adjust your volume a little higher?
Yeah, yeah, I sure can. How's that?
Okay, that's better.
Okay. I'm being quiet too, so I don't know if that's the problem. Yeah, it takes courage, you know, because I think they cheated. I honestly did. Everyone I know was gung ho, happy, excited, inspired when his first election. You know, I think you ran that first election, didn't you?
I ran in 2021. I never ran in 2019, but in
Okay.
2021 I ran and I got 8.4% of the vote. And I really didn't know what I was doing when I got that 8.4% of the vote. That was my first time running. So when I ran again in 2025, I felt like I knew a lot better what I was up against, and I thought I would do a lot better. But it was just, I don't know if it was cheating necessarily. It wasn't cheating in the sense that, like that occurred in the United States, where there was mail-in ballots that were being fraudulently put through the system. It wasn't quite like that, as bad as that. And we had so many people in the first election at the polls, watching the polls on the day of. We could really say there was no cheating. This was really how people voted. Now, in terms of the advanced polling or anything like that, we couldn't really say, but the system is quite good, Paul. I mean, there are weaknesses for sure. In terms of the ID requirements, you can just have a driver's license to vote. And in fact, you don't need to be a citizen to get a driver's license. So there are some weaknesses that need to be shored up. But the system as it is quite robust, and it's not a bad system. Um, but
Mhm.
it just didn't really give us the results we wanted. And I don't know if it's the system's fault. I think like the elections Canada. I mean, it's more that the media is controlled by the big establishment parties. So they set the rules. They set the rules as to, like you were talking with Max, whose voices are going to be heard. The people who are controlling these voices do not want the People's Party message getting out. It is far more threatening than the establishment party, because we are going against these globalists. They're being enriched by taxpayers, by Canadians, sending money to the UN, pushing all of these big money schemes like the climate hoax, these wars, pandemics. All this money is being pushed out towards these causes that are not helping Canadians whatsoever.
Look at Jimmy Jackson said, Peter Terrace for PM.
Thanks, Jimmy.
That's really even in someone. That's awesome.
Hopefully, we'll see you running in for the PPC in the next federal election.
Yeah, brothers. Do you know about Bill C-290?
Now, which one's that? I'm
I
not.
believe that's a whistleblower protection.
Which one?
I think it's whistleblower protection. I think that's what that bill is.
What does it say? Oh, sorry, I didn't hear you.
He's asking me to bring up Bill C-290, and I believe that is whistleblower protection bill, but I don't think they're actually implementing it.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I'm not really familiar enough to talk about it. If I could talk about the principles, if there's some principles you want to bring up, we could absolutely discuss those. But I'm not. I can't talk to the specifics about that one.
Mhm. Well, Brian Everett is having trouble getting in. He's getting booted. So I noticed on Facebook that I am actually blurry. I'm not blurry here, but on Facebook I'm blurry. Which
You're not blurry in real life, Paul.
I look blurry, I think. Life is such a blur. So you have a party. Might as well speak to that. You have a party, Christmas party, where
Yes. December 20th, we are having a Christmas party for the local Niagara region, and we're welcoming people from far and wide to come join us to continue to support our efforts. We're going to keep fighting. And this is the way we do it. We keep fighting by having events, letting people come out, feeding them, also treating them well, because when they come out, they're going to have a beautiful dinner. They're going to have Wiener Schnitzel, lemon garlic chicken, roasted vegetables, cranberry rice pilaf, lots of great food that's going to be at this event. So we're going to treat people well, but we also want them to come to hear our message, to support us, because the money we earn on this will continue to go support our efforts of the EDA, which is Electoral District Association, and will fund us in the next federal election. We had a lot of these events in the last few years when I was preparing for the election in 2025. And as a result, we were able to accumulate a fair bit of money for that election. Unfortunately, it didn't give us the results we had hoped for, but at least we were trying. We were getting out there. We were raising the money. People heard about our message because we had the money in order to print the flyers, get them delivered, get the signs out. So we were able to do a lot of the things that the establishment parties did, but it just wasn't enough for us this time around.
Well, I love that Lisa Robinson is Councillor Lisa Robinson is going to be there. I believe she's also a candidate, and that poor girl, she has been so abused. But you know what? She, just like Kirk Reese, Lisa showed us what's going on, at the local government level. Because we know provincially through Jimmy Jackson, for example, and other people about what's going on in that at provincial level. I ran in the provincial government. I don't think I'll ever run again. I am just going to be the host of the Truth Table until God takes me.
Change the culture, right? You got to change the culture before people start to follow that politically, and that's how it works. And that's why Charlie Kirk was, as an example, so successful, is because he became successful first by promoting the message, and then people started to believe that message, and then he would have been shortly after been able to step into a political role very easily. So because he was single-handedly responsible for changing the way people were thinking. He was winning over hearts and minds. And this is what we have to do. And we have to do it with clarity and charity, and always be willing to listen, and even to our detractors, right? Because the way I look at it, I have a simple philosophical test for whether something is true or not. If it's a lie, you know that they're going to be wanting to not talk about it. They're just going to want to push it through. They're going to want to censor the people who are telling the truth. And this is precisely what we have been seeing, and especially in Bills C8 and Bills C9 that are coming through. This is the express purpose of those two bills, is to censor the truth. They don't care about lies. They don't want to censor the lies. They want to censor the truth. They want to protect themselves. They don't want anyone exposing their hypocrisy, exposing their scandal, exposing their grift. This is precisely what the media was supposed to do. And in the charter, that's what we are guaranteed. We are guaranteed a free media. We no longer have a free media in Canada, because when government buys media, they no longer are there to expose the corruption of government. They are there to compete for that money. So they will print and put forward stories that are complementary to the people in power, so that they will get more money back. That is not what a free media is. Free media is when the citizens are told the truth by the media. The media now used to be able to turn on the news and expect to see the truth. Now they are actively promoting lies, and they are doing everything possible to hide the truth. So they have now a complete opposite agenda of what the
Yeah.
media is supposed to do.
Yes. Show both sides of the story.
Yeah.
You know, represent us, our voice. You know,
That's
and
right.
tell us what the government is saying, and you know, also show what we're saying. But I mean, I like having you on my show because you are local here, and I want people that live here to um, uh, to meet you and understand what you stand for, your policies, and Brian is trying his darndest to get in. I hope Lisa can get through, but I still don't see anything on the email. No response. But you got in, Brian. I would log out and log back in again because that does happen. He's on his phone. Are you on a phone or a computer, Peter? Are you on a computer, Peter, or you're on a computer, right? Oh, did I get muted? Okay. I will I will just wait till he's yeah, so try to leave and come back, Brian, and or give permission for your camera so we can see you, and I'll bring you in as soon as I see you. Saying, yeah, I want the people, you know, in the region to get to know you. I want them. I want to spark their curiosity and look at at the website and just read it. It's really not complicated. It's not long winded. You know, it's not a 7,000 page bill. You know, it's very easily laid out and understandable. And I read all of them. You know, I because I like to be informed. I like to just like all the religious books. I wanted to read them all. I want to get as much information so I can, you know, use my discernment and you know, I trust my gut. You know, to me, God speaks to me through my gut. It's my that gut never lies to me. Your head will lie to you and your heart will lie to you, but not your gut. Your gut is like your spiritual connection to our creator, and it will never lie to you. But you know, your head will lie to you because that's where all the implanted generational lies come from. You know,
Mhm.
people may have lied to you, not intending to lie to you, but
Yeah.
you know, this is what you heard. These are the stories you heard, and you just give them the benefit of doubt. You know, that's just because they could be good people that are trustworthy. So that's the mission of this podcast is to find the truth, to seek it out. You know, seek and you will find. And you know, I'm seeking right now. I'm seeking for Brian to come back because
Yeah,
I
but
know
like
he.
you said, Paul, I mean, I think our platform, the PPC platform, is very well written. It's written at a level where people, it's just understandable. It's not there to confuse people. It's not there to try uh, you know, get both sides of the issue. It's there to put our issue forward. You know, we're not going to pander to both sides. That never works. You have to take a stand on issues that are important, and that's what we do in the platform. And it's very clear what we stand for. So it's definitely worth a read. And anyone who has not read that platform, I definitely also encourage to read the platform and reach out to myself. I'm an open book, and I'm always available to be reached by email. Is the best way to reach me. Peter at peterterrace.ca. That's my email. Reach out to me anytime, and I'm there to answer the questions as the best I can.
No, that's true, and that's what I noticed about most of the candidates. They're very approachable, easy to talk to, honest. That's what I find Maxime has attracted. you know, he's attracted good people that really resonate with the message here. You know, we're against the wars. How about
Yep.
that one? We're not being asked. There's no referendum. Do you support a war? They just say, this is one's the bad guy and this is the good guy. So we're going to help the good guy and kill for them.
Mhm.
I wouldn't vote for that. I don't want
No,
our
and,
money.
and like what you like, it's very interesting. I used to be a conservative, and I found that it was just people who are interested in gaining power. But in the PPC, I feel so at home. I feel so like I belong here because the people that are surrounding me are also interested in the truth. They're interested in principle. Yes, they want to win, but that is not the most important thing. I want to win because we put the truth out there and people
Yeah.
recognize that and they vote for us because we put the truth forward. I don't want to win because I've sold my soul or I've just pulled them to, depending on which way the mainstream media is pushing them.
Mhm.
That's not the way I want to win. I want to win by actually promoting ideas that protect human dignity, that protect freedom. These are the most important things.
I agree. So he's having a little problems with permissions. He can't hear us either, he said.
Yeah, I can barely hear you, Paul, as well.
Really?
Yeah, very quiet.
Did you hear Mac okay?
I heard Max. It was quiet as well.
Oh. Oh, Max was quiet too?
Yeah.
Hmm. Well, I don't know. That's maximum volume.
Hmm.
That's all I get. Yeah. Brian isn't getting volume. Yeah. I had the same issue with another guest who was having trouble, and all you can do is just come in and leave. And what I'll do with Brian is I will set up another stream and just keep trying until we can get him working. And yeah, that was with Gordon, I believe. He had trouble getting in.
Yeah.
The
Yeah. Well,
national.
when I was on with Gordon, it was very clear. I heard everybody. Right now, I can barely hear you. That's why I'm kind of leaning in. So
I'm loud. Like my settings
hmm.
are on like full blast. So it could be the stream, it could be the government. You know, they're really trying to shut me up. You know, and they might succeed. But
Well, once they put forward Bill C8 and Bill C9, they'll have the actual real power to do that, which is
yeah,
really scary because you know what Chesterton says: if you don't need to strangle a man if you can silence him, and there's no reason they will have no reason to. That will be their force. Their force will be their ability to silence you,
yes.
and we need to resist that.
Well, again, I'm gonna speak close to the mic for you. Can you
Okay.
hear me?
No, it's still very
All right.
it's very soft. But I can hear you. I
Wow.
can hear you. It's all good.
Okay. Okay. Um, I don't know if it's the stream. I don't know if it's the internet. I don't know if it's the government. Uh, but I noticed that my mic was like not working properly at almost every stream, and then it works fine after. But thank you for coming on, Brian. I'll work with you off the stream to try to get you working for future shows, and I hope you will come back too, Peter, in the
Yeah, I
future.
would love to. I really appreciate you having me on again. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure, and thank everyone at home also for joining me, joining us for episode 9 of season 2. Who would have thought, eh? But thanks to all the people that bought T-shirts that helped to make this happen. Otherwise, it would have never happened. So, thank you for watching, and join us next time on the Truth Table.